Good evening and welcome to BCN News. Leading our bulletin tonight, the Premier Sir Takata Fuki has not given a clear indication on whether he will contest the 2020 general election. During an interview with BCN News today, the Premier Sir Takata Fuki was asked whether he will contest the elections for next year. This is what he had to say.
We'll see.
The date of the 2020 general election is yet to be established.
Don't know yet. We haven't figured it out. Probably about May.
Opposition MP Terry Koh is calling on youths to contest next year's election. Koh says Parliament is in need of new blood and they are capable young people who have leadership qualities. As part of supporting youth participation in politics, Koh says there should be a series of youth parliament sessions on the island.
My views at the moment is to try and attract the youth to putting their names up for the elections next year. And what we should try and do now is run a series of youth parliaments with the youth nominating people from each village and some people for the common role. And they elect their own speaker and the cabinet of the day. And they answer the questions and motions that have been put to the normal assembly meeting, and that will give them plenty of practice to see how they answer it, and also the public can listen to those and hopefully support them, the ones that who speak up well and discuss the problems and the motions, and that would help their experience. And then when the elections come around next year, the youth should put up a member for each village and some members for the common role, at least 6, and to see how they do. But we need to run the youth parliament from December, January, February, March, one each month, to give those people some experience in the parliament.
The opposition MP has expressed publicly in an assembly session earlier this year that Parliament needs new blood.
We need new blood, and there's some very good youth that have got good qualifications and good experience and could help this country do a lot better than what we're doing. And the idea is to get new blood in and let the people elect who they want from those youth members.
Koh also says he will still contest the elections next year.
Yes, I'll stand again. That's put my name up, and if I get back in, well and good. If I don't, well, that's all right. I'll still fix motor vehicles and do some gardening, so that's all right. Yeah, I've got no worries there.
The date of New Year's general election is yet to be formally announced. The government will be undertaking another major infrastructure upgrade project next year with the new Air Runway upgrade project. Funded by New Zealand Aid, GHD is the company contracted to undertake the design and feasibility study for the project.
It's GHD is here working in Niue with MFAT and the government of Niue. We're working on the airport rehabilitation project, so that entails us resurfacing the current asphalt runway and replacing the airfield ground lighting. On top of that, we'll also be looking at the fire station apron because that's quite in a bad state, and we'll be improving that. And we're also looking at replacing the airport perimeter fencing. We started design, or we were appointed last year in September, and we did our first trip out here then, and that was effectively a fact-finding trip. We've subsequently put through a concept design to MFAT and to the government of Niue. We've been working very closely with the Director of Transport here and the Director of Civil Aviation as well. And everybody's been really supportive of the project, which is great. We're expecting to finish the detailed design early next year, And the EIA component of that we started, about 2 months ago or so, and we're looking at hopefully completing that also by early next year.
This week, there is a team of 3 from GHD on the island with the purpose of performing the environmental impact assessment for the project and are working closely with the Environment Department and the Department of Transport of the Ministry of Infrastructure.
In parallel with the design development, we're preparing an environmental impact assessment, which is in accordance with Niue environmental legislation. A key part of the environmental assessment is community consultation, and that's one of the reasons we're here this week, is to meet with some of the residents living in close proximity to the runway. And there'll be other opportunities over the coming months for the public to come and speak directly with the project team. And the public can also, at any time, lodge a written submission to the Ministry of Infrastructure or to GHD or the Department of Environment about any concerns or issues they may have. So we're looking at environmental impacts and also disruption to the community, for example, additional heavy vehicles on the local roads or construction noise.
GHD is the same company which has completed other airport runway projects in the Pacific with Faleolo Airport in Samoa, and they're commissioned to work on the Hapai Runway in Tonga, the Funafuti Runway in Tuvalu, and the Nosori and Nandi airports in Fiji. GHD is one of the world's leading professional services companies operating in the global markets of water, energy and resources, environment, property and buildings, and transportation. They provide engineering, architecture, environmental and construction services to the private and public sector clients.
One of the outcomes of the EIA is providing recommendations around management and mitigation of any of the impacts that we've identified through the process. This will sort of involve developing a framework for a construction environmental management plan, which will be taken over by the chosen contractor on this project. And this will just help enable the contractor to, one of them is to enable the contractor to sort of communicate the findings and the outcomes of the environmental impact assessment and the likely impacts that maybe the community may experience. And just throughout that process, continue on with the engagement as well as through construction to sort of manage those impacts.
The work on the new Air project is expected to begin in the second half of next year, when close to 30 people will be arriving to begin the project.
We're just very pleased to be part of this really important project. We understand the critical nature of the infrastructure, being the airport and the access and gateway to Niue for not only tourists but also for Niueans and the family members that come and travel out here. So we're really happy to be able to be in a position to extend the life of this critical asset. And we look forward to a successful project, and we look forward to being here on the island and sharing it with you and being in this beautiful place and yeah, good.
The Lau Project is scheduled to open in January next year. The development of the accommodation project in Avasele cost almost $900,000.
The Lau project is almost finished. It's just the finishing touches. Furniture's there. Essentially, we're waiting to get the carpenters to do the touch-ups, and then we'll open the facility next year in January. Most of the builders are local builders, so therefore it's been good for the economy here. I'm pleased about that. The other thing is that once we start opening, we will be creating job opportunities for people out there who may want to work. So essentially that's what we're waiting for at the present moment. There is a business plan prepared by a consultant who came. We've got to have a look at that and see whether we should follow it or develop something more appropriate to our requirements.
a politician and an author. The Premier Sir Takata Fuki has written a book titled Niue Rising, which has just been published this month. This is a biography of Sir Takata Fuki and his life in Niue to a Knight of the Realm. It covers his life work and his experiences as a businessman and into politics and the premiership.
I've written a book. I got bored with my life, so I decided to write a book about myself, about Niue, about developments leading up to us becoming self-governed and my years as Premier, as well as the current negotiations with New Zealand and the way we're conducting our business with them. The essence of what I'm talking about in terms of my own biography is fairly simple. And I wanted to write something rather than somebody else from overseas or somebody else writing something that belongs to us. It's our island, we should be able to do these things ourselves. There's proof of that. I want us also to demonstrate the fact that we can be self-sustaining in the long term. And we're working very hard at the present moment to achieve that. We can see that if we were to bottle export water and noni, we should be able to generate sufficient resources to enable us to pay people more, pay ourselves more, and so on. But there are other businesses that we're working on at the present moment, including fisheries and Bayon and gin, which we're hoping to also produce and sell and make some money, hopefully. So, from the book, all those things I have discussed, and I wanted to record by a Niuean for Niueans. So there is no doubt in anybody's mind that this is by a Niuean, for the Niueans, and there is no doubt that we have the ability and the wherewithal to achieve what we can achieve without having to depend too much on others.
And that's BCN News for tonight. Thank you for joining us. Do join us same time next Monday. Until then, have a safe weekend.